Now, let's assume you've been running blues and standards changes using bar chords or the shell voicings that we looked at in episodes 7, 14, and 15. Have you noticed anything strange beginning to happen to your reactions? For example, have you noticed that your fingers can anticipate what the next chord will be? Have you noticed that you can really hear the motion of chords in a given phrase before you even play it? Have you wondered why you seem to have suddenly become psychic or clairaudient? Have you noticed the zigzag? I'll explain that in just a minute. Now, if you answered yes to any of these questions, it simply means your ears are beginning to quantify and translate what you're hearing. And in response, your hands are beginning to find these seemingly magical patterns which lie on the fretboard. If you answered no to any of the previous questions, don't worry. With a few new ideas and a little work, you'll begin to notice a difference in no time, because we're about to explore a valuable practice and compositional tool that will allow your playing and writing to progress in ways that will make your head spin. Let's learn the cycle workout. So what is the cycle? Well, if you ask most 6th grade band students, they'll tell you it's a clock-like chart in the back of their method book, which shows and organizes the number and sequence of sharps and flats in each key. And they would be right. But there's so much more we can draw from the cycle. Here's the standard model of the cycle from the theory text, The Complete Musician by Stephen Lates. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The first thing you should notice is that it looks like a clock. Notice that as you move left, each new position adds a flat. And as you move right, each new position adds a sharp. And each time a sharp or flat is added, the key changes. Now, while keeping track of the sharps and flats in all keys is valuable, actually it's an indispensable skill, it is not our intended subject for this video. Instead, let's focus on the letter sequence itself. Now, because we're guitarists and ukulelists or any number of other string players, let's take a look at the sharps side of the cycle. So just in case you're unaware, string instruments naturally want to function in the sharp keys. By the way, let's ditch the clock format and just write the cycle out as if it's a chord progression. We'll start with E. Why E? Well, because we're guitar players, duh. Now, look at what happens when we move to the right, progressing halfway through the cycle. We get E, A, D, G, C, and F. Well, wait a minute. These are our open chords on the guitar, except maybe for the F. Now, that's convenient, but there's more. Look at the A. In the key of A, what's our 5 chord? Well, if you don't know it off the top of your head, look one letter to the left. It's an E. So think about this for a second. This should mean that if we look at D, the 5 chord should also be one letter to the left, so forth and so on. In other words, we can always identify the 5 of a given chord by looking one chord to the left in cycle order. But wait, there's more. Want to know what the 4 is for any chord? Look one letter to the right. So, by looking one letter to the right and to the left of a given chord, we can instantly identify our primary chords in a blues progression. Weird, huh? Can we do anything else with it? Sure. Suppose we're working our way through 2-5-1 progressions. Pick a chord and we'll label it 1. Now, the letter to the left, as we've already seen, is the 5-7. And if we look once more to the left, that letter is the 2. We've now identified a 2-5-1, our primary chord grouping in a standard jazz progression. Real quick, memorize this sequence of letters: B, E, A, D, G, C, and F. Now, if you need some help remembering, just think of the word bead, B-E-A-D, and then remember that goats can't fly, G-C-F. Notice that this is just a fragment of the cycle, and it's roughly half. Also notice that after the F, the sequence starts again in flats: B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat or F sharp, C flat, and F flat. We'll discuss the C flat and F flat some other time, trust me. Okay, so what can we do with this? Well, if you're having problems remembering where to place bass notes, power chords, bar chords, or shell voicings onto the guitar neck, the cycle is the key. Okay, here's an E power chord. I'm banking that most of you watching already know this. Now, if you need a quick way of memorizing the locations of your power chords, use the cycle. Here's the zigzag that I mentioned in the intro. E moves to A. In other words, back one string and down 2 frets. Remember, this direction is down because the notes get lower in pitch. From the A, we move to the D. Same fret and up 1 string. Remember, this direction is up because the open strings get higher in pitch. Then we repeat D to G to C to F to B flat. At this point, the physical pattern runs out because we don't have any more fingerboard left. So let's stop here for a second and gather our thoughts. Now, if you trace the motion of your first finger through the sequence and connect the dots, you should notice that it describes a zigzag, or kind of like a lightning bolt or a sawtooth shape. And if you recite the letters of our cycle mantra, the BEADGCF, you should begin to understand how to geographically plot the roots of each chord. Here it is with power chords. E, A, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat or F sharp, B, and then we're back to the E. Now, here it is with major bar chords. E, A, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat or F sharp, B, and then we're back to E. Now notice that if we use power chords or bar chords, our first finger leads the way, right? And so here it is with dominant 7 shell voicings. E7, A7, D7, G7, C7, F7, B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, D flat 7, G flat 7 or F sharp 7, B7, and then we're back to E where we started. Now notice that with the shell chords, if we start on E, we lead with finger 2. When we move to A, we lead with finger 1. Unless, of course, you take the alternate 2, 3, 3 fingering. Then notice the move simply repeats until we run out of fingerboard, and then we have to start again higher up on the fingerboard. In order to really absorb the practical nature of the zigzag, let's look at Summertime in D minor by George and Ira Gershwin. Now, for this example, I'll be using shell voicings, by the way. 2, 3, 4. Now, notice that from here to here, the root of each chord follows our cycle plan. In fact, most jazz standards follow some semblance of this plan. And this actually makes it easy to not only locate the chord, but to also give us an easy way to memorize the chord sequence. And as a result, the entire song. Now keep in mind, once we've located the root of the chord, we still have to realize the chord. In other words, we have to ensure we're playing the proper quality, major, minor, dominant, etc. But eventually your ears and your hands will learn to anticipate the next chord in the sequence. Now, here are a few final thoughts about working out through the cycle. 1, practice the cycle as if it was a song. Now, since we earlier wrote out the cycle as a chord progression, pick a rhythm style, rock, bluegrass, swing, etc., and work your way through the appropriate style as if you were playing a song. It makes practicing a potentially boring exercise like the cycle a little more fun and palatable. Now, by the way, be on the lookout. I'll be producing several cycle play-along videos in all sorts of different styles. So That'll make practicing and working your way through the cycle a lot more pleasant. 2, use the cycle as a tool for learning how to mix open chords and bar chords into meaningful sequences. In other words, play open chords when you can and bar chords when you have to. 3, practice riffs around the cycle. 4, if you're a jazz player, practice all your licks around the cycle. This way you learn all your licks in every key. 5, you can use the cycle as a compositional or an analytical tool, which can help you define the key or the key areas of songs that you want to learn or write. Later, we'll discuss the possibility of what's known as backcycling as the topic of its own video. Thanks for watching String 'em Up. My name's Dave Holland, and remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying the channel's content. Please hit the notification bell so you always know when new videos are posted. Also, feel free to leave comments and suggestions for any topics you might like to see in some future episodes. Have fun, stay safe, and call your mom. You know she worries. See you next time. Bye.